Bobby, I don't know if you have an order prepared. I was gonna start out with John,
I
and
want to see
You can do
this
that.
first.
Whatever order you want.
and we'll do John, Will, and then myself for our
Are you
brackets.
gonna
I don't know if you
put?
have one,
Actually,
but
you know what? You know what? Give me a second. I want to pull up the exact image that John
Hold on,
sent
hold
me
on, hold on.
first, and then I'll
Can
show
I
you the
preface
polished
this?
version. Give me 1
Can
second.
I preface this to the audience? I was doing
Yeah.
the thumbnail right before this, so I didn't have
Excuses,
much time before the
excuses,
show started.
excuses.
I. Oh, by the way, I also want to say we have no idea what our brackets look like. These were DM the Bobby, so we do
Mine's
not
not
know.
gonna be
Tyler's
shocking.
gonna hate me. Tyler's gonna hate me.
I
I just
mean,
know.
I think
I have
he'll
a
probably hate me
disclaimer
too.
before I tell mine, but I'll wait until John's done his bracket before I give my little why I did things the way I did, kind of.
The question is, will John be the biased Orioles fan that he
Oh,
is?
what do you think?
Are you kidding me? We're gonna have two bias picks
if I
and then
show
Tyler.
I'll say if I show the image that he sent me here, it very much at first glance I was so confused because I literally thought he did what we were joking about before the show, where it was like, oh, he's just gonna say that the Orioles win every single series, and then I actually looked and see what he meant, and now I understand. But it was still really weird from the get go. You'll see it as soon as I pull it up. I have it right here. So
the
hold on
pen
1 second
happened
here.
to be on orange. I can't help that.
So you're gonna have to.
I know, and
translate this
that's
for us,
what
is I'm
screwed me
hearing.
up.
I'm gonna have
No,
to
no,
need
no,
a
no. So
translator
just
for
I
trust.
this.
hope no one can hear you again, and
Just
it's just
trust.
silence. That'd be funny.
Yeah, I mean, I really thought I was under the assumption that it was just gonna be the Orioles logo and he was gonna circle it and that was his bracket, but but
I
we
mean
will
that
see.
was essentially close to
Hey.
what happened here.
Hey, like I said,
I wrote on it. Thank you.
they avoided the hottest team in baseball. I think they legitimately have a path now. So, Bobby, I literally can't stall any longer. You're gonna need to hurry the hell up.
I got you right here.
Oh
Okay, so
my
do you
Oh my
understand now?
God.
What the hell is this?
I told you.
I understand what this is saying now, but
Yeah.
I too. But that's funny. So you,
Is this
if I'm right, am I
amazing?
right?
I think
Am
my
I right in
favorite
saying
thing.
that what you have? Hold
I
on.
think-
Am I right in saying that what you have is the Orioles beat the Phillies in the World Series, John?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
First of all,
so
I
but
understand
do you? I love the part where he like accidentally crossed out the World Series logo. Is that the World Series does everything is just Orioles in this bracket.
That
Everything
says
from the
O- that I
branding
know.
to each
O's.
individual series.
That says O's. That's
No,
not a
I
Wait,
know,
cross
but
out.
the fact that you
That's
put the apostrophe there.
You don't even have
I
the
I
winner
know,
between
but
the
it's
Astros.
just a weird.
You
Yes,
don't
I
even
do.
have a winner between the Astros
Yeah,
and
he
the
does.
Guardians. You just have that the
Yeah, I
Orioles
do.
wins versus nobody.
I have the Guardians.
Yeah,
All
he
right,
has the
it's
Guardians.
Yeah, it's right there.
God
Do you
damn,
not
me
see
and
the
John's
big
bracket.
stripe across the
This-
Guardians logo?
So you
Can
have
we just go? Can we just go straight to my bracket?
I
now?
did clean this up.
No.
Yes. Hold on.
No.
No. I did clean
It's
this
my
up
turn,
for John.
damn it.
So here's his actual bracket.
Yay.
the one that doesn't look like a pile of dog shit. Okay, good.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like a 5-year-old did it while he's waiting for his lunch.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, have you ever gone to a restaurant and they give you those placemats where you can do the maze?
Yeah,
That's what that
That's
looks
what
like.
that looks like.
Thank you. We're on the same page. Oh,
Oh
it's
God!
so
If
funny.
we all had the same bracket, I'm gonna cry.
I can say I do not have the
You
same
guys are
bracket as
picking the
John.
Orioles to win the
You
World
guys
Series?
have nowhere
What?
close to the
Yeah,
same bracket. You
I
guys
feel
aren't even in
like-
the same ballpark.
No, I
pun
said
intended.
Tyler's gonna hate me, but I can say now, waiting for John's to come up, ours are a lot similar than I thought.
Yeah,
Wait, mine and yours, or yours
Yeah.
and Tyler's? Oh.
No, yours and mine.
Oh.
I think, yeah,
Interesting.
I'll predict for years that you're gonna have. By the way, you have the wrong graphic up. If you know that, Bobby.
Oh.
Um,
Oh.
Look at our
But
producer sucking.
I feel like you guys have one of the Yankees or Orioles making the World Series, so this makes sense. I will preface this by saying I do not. I do not have.
I
one of
almost
those
did the
making-
Guardians. I was really close to choosing the Guardians. I
There
eventually
it
went
is.
with,
Yay!
and I'll explain when it's my turn, kind of why I did the way things I did. Because there's a certain
So can
trend
I
I
explain
decided
my
to kind of
Can I
follow.
explain my bracket or
No, the
Yeah.
5-year-old version explained it perfectly.
Can I ask questions though instead of you just like
Sure.
explaining it blatantly?
sure?
So, what are your thoughts on that Houston Cleveland series? Because I think that could be fun if that happens.
I definitely think that could be fun, but I also think that that's where Houston is going to show their age, and where Cleveland is going to ride their hot hand for what they've had the whole season, which is what carries them on to the championship series where they get smoked by the Orioles. No, no.
Smoked by the Orioles. I actually didn't even think of.
6.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't
That's
even
not
think
really
about
a
putting
smoke.
games, but
Hold on. Can we can we say what we think the World Series would be in like in games?
games we can.
I'm
So
gonna,
what,
I'm gonna
Orioles
go
take it.
Orioles in 7. That's what I'm gonna go with.
John? If I will say if it's the Orioles Phillies in Game 7, and I'm in a call with you guys, it's gonna be the craziest shit I've ever experienced. We're gonna have two people that are just breathing very heavy, and I don't know if I can take that. Thank you for the example. Honestly, I don't really have any other questions per se. I mean, Orioles, Yankees. I mean, I kind of.
The Padres are the Dodgers' daddies, in my opinion. So
I don't. Can we just say, are we all in agreement right now that we don't think the Dodgers are making it out of the division series again?
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agree.
I agree. Which is crazy.
No kidding. I agree.
It's the pitching. It's the pitching.
Yeah.
The offense has a 50-50 shot. It's the. Oh yeah, there's a
Oh,
producer
wait,
that might make a pick also.
Does
Oh,
Bob-
yeah.
I was about to say, does Bobby disagree?
Bobby's
Well,
a chalk
producer-
guy though. Whatever
I
the one
do.
seeds are, that's one. That's who's
No,
going
the
to.
Bobby-
fan
safety.
graphic.
Bobby
instead of
has a
thank you, it's
rematch
gonna be Bobby's.
from the 50s of Yankees versus Dodgers.
I'll explain this later.
I didn't
Oh,
realize
God.
you had one.
Jackie Robinson is coming back to play in
was
this
50-50, man.
in this World Series.
If you don't have anything else to explain, I don't have any other questions. I don't know if anybody else does.
I
It's
mean,
pretty
throughout
straightforward.
the
I need to tell
episode-
my bracket, but
Throughout the episode, I'm pretty sure I explained the National League side. I pretty much explained the American League side. So yeah, I mean, and I think the Yankees suck against the Orioles. So yeah, whatever.
Okay. All right, we can move on to Wills then. By the
so
way,
as
these-
Bobby sets it up, the main two things that I was really keeping and looking at, and really, I guess in the end, it's one thing.
oh Jesus Christ!
Other than I am not big on that. The teams with the best records always seem to falter, and since 2016,
Huh.
the team.
Huh.
Yeah, I wasn't kidding when I said very similar. There's like two differences.
There's
But
one
before,
difference.
hold on, I will
One.
mute you so I can talk.
Sorry.
Since 2016, the World Series winner has finished in the top 3 in their specific league in runs scored each of those years. So just taking that kind of in comparison with the teams that are in the playoffs this year, the Yankees and Orioles are 1 and 2 in the American League in runs scored. And in the National League, the Dodgers and Phillies were 2 and 3. The Diamondbacks and Red Sox did not make the postseason, so they're not even really on this list. So immediately when I'm thinking of recent World Series trends, I'm thinking about that, as well as it seems like teams that have won the World Series, their teams are either balanced structure-wise or they favor to be a more offensive prone team than pitching. So of those 4 teams, the one thing to keep in mind, which I will say, and John's side of it, is of those 4 teams, if you again are someone on recent trends, the Orioles are the only team that don't have a bye. And the byes tend to hurt people. And they also have a kind of similar narrative to what the Rangers had last year. Because they were hot for a lot of the first half, cooled off in the second half, lost the division, made it in as the number 4 seed, and now they're playing in the wild card series. But all that being said, though, and it's hard for me to go away from my Phillies, and I have them beating the Orioles in 5 in the World Series.
Well, I would say for me, I can't be biased against my team because they're not in the playoffs. But this is some crazy work, gentlemen. Jesus Christ!
I love how there's one difference between.
I
the
warned
brackets.
all of
Who?
you. I warned
Yeah,
all of you.
so-
Once you
What's
guys
the second
DM
one?
these to me, I told you.
I have the Tigers beating the Astros
Yeah,
that's,
in the
that's
wild-
the only difference.
love that out of you.
and the
Love
Phillies
it.
winning the World Series.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't count that. All
Well,
right.
it's probably because he didn't draw over his bracket like you did. It's harder to see. Bobby, if you're more, I'm like hyping up my bracket. It's not crazy. I mean, it's crazy, but it's not crazy. If you want to do
It's
your,
definitely more different. I
I
have
was
a
gonna
couple
say,
of interesting ones.
if you want to do yours before mine, you can. But yes, mine
Okay,
is
I can do it.
different. I don't really have anything to add to this that we haven't already said, to be honest. Again, I do love the Tigers over the Astros, though.
I
Let's go
think the
Tigers,
pitching will
baby.
do it in 2 games, but if the series goes to 3 games, I think they're done.
Producer Bobby.
Okay.
I thought
All right,
about a
hear me
Guardians
out.
Phillies World
Hear me
Series.
out.
Okay.
So I think it is entirely possible, and I think the Orioles continue to slow down a little harder than they meant to. Because here's the thing: the past 3 months, they've really only had one of those months be over 500 compared to basically everybody else who hasn't had that. So I feel like their slowdown is going to hurt them in the end. So I think the Yankees are going to finally turn up because it's the postseason and it's the Yankees. So it's just going to happen. So I think the Yankees make it all the way, but I think the Guardians absolutely destroy them. And the ALCS, I absolutely think that's.
I agree with
the
that. If it was a Guardians
a hell of a
Yankees
team.
matchup, I think the Guardians bullpen would absolutely wreck the Yankees offense.
I want the
they're-
Orioles to make it all the way. I really do, but I've gotten concerned over the past month or so, and I'm a little bit worried about what that means going into the postseason. I think they are very much the definition of hot and cold lately. I hope that changes, and I want them to change my mind, but right now I just don't see it. That's my main thing there. Also, with the Astros over the Tigers, just to kind of finish the AL side, and then I'll let other people comment before I move over to the NL. It's like I'm never going to doubt the Astros, the Tigers. We've already talked about them enough. I'm never going to doubt the Astros, but again, I think the Guardians are too good for them to get past that part, but I definitely think the Astros will get through this first series, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, and I'll preface saying this will preface my bracket too. I think there was like 3 or 4 teams that I thought were like very situational. There was something that happened that really had swayed it for them, and I think for the Yankees, they lose Rizzo. Nestor Cortez is out now, and they get a
Rizzo
little bit
sucks.
thin. I know he sucks, but like now,
The Bat Boy would be as good as Rizzo
is
was.
DJ LeMahieu making it back into that lineup now? Like probably not, but still. I think the Yankees on paper, I would have them over the Orioles, but I think those things and the Orioles getting healthy, I would give the advantage to the Orioles. But the Yankees, I don't know. I mean, they get a lot of crap for the performances in the playoffs in recent years. I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about them this year, and maybe that's a good thing for the Yankees.
The Yankees, all right, well, 2 quick things. One, the Yankees, if they're going to have any success, they are going to be riding the backs of Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. That's just the only
Shocker.
thing I can
Which
see
is literally what I'm
potentially
basing a
but that's literally
lot of this
it.
off of.
And the other thing is, if anyone is smart and actually reviews what other teams have done in postseason of recent years, just look at what the Diamondbacks did to the Phillies last year and basically pitched around Harper and Schwarber for the last like 3-4 games of the series. And that's a big reason why they beat the Phillies, other than and because the rest of the offense was cold. If the Orioles can just pitch around Soto and Judge, the rest of the Yankees offense does not come anywhere close to being intimidating. So the one thing would just simply be is if the Orioles bullpen has a little bit of a dry spell or whatever against the Yankees, and Judge could clobber a few dozen homers in one series.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point, honestly. Dodgers finally getting some love. I feel like that's the one team that the 3 of us are going to like. If something is to go wrong in our bracket, it could be the Dodgers advancing. I know their pitching is so hurt, and that's kind of what a lot of us are basing it off of. But, yeah, I mean
I can't like doubt that team with the Dodgers where I can easily doubt the Padres. I mean, yes, the Dodgers are hurt. There's no doubt about it. But here's the thing: they're still 19 and 8, and then 16 and 10 in the last 2 months. Like they really haven't had
and they had
a big of a slowdown and still finished top of the freaking league.
Yeah.
So like, you know what I mean? So that's the thing is it's like it's hard for me to doubt a team that's still while hurt because they've been hurt for a bit now. It's not like it's been recent. They've been hurt for a bit, still finishing the top of the standings. I mean, I know obviously having as good of a run and starting off as hot as they did in the beginning obviously helps, but they finished off strong enough to me where I think they're a legitimate contender. Like I think they're a legitimate contender, and I think the Padres, with a little bit of lack of experience and not as top heavy of a lineup, but still a good lineup, the Dodgers will overtake them. It will still be close. I don't think it'll be a blowout by any stretch, but I don't think the Dodgers should ever be doubted in this scenario.
Do you think it
Yeah.
would be a best of 5 in that series?
In the
I
Padres
think
series?
so.
Yeah, prob.
I think
I
it could
mean,
be.
as you said, they just had that series. And I feel bad saying this, but like there is some teams that I hope lose just for the fact that I want to see good matchups. Padres Dodgers would be awesome. I would love to see Orioles Yankees, and I don't really have a, except for the Tigers, I don't really have a horse in this race, but I do like to see good matchups. And that Padres Dodgers series would be electric. By the
Yeah,
way,
I think
did
getting a
I
lot of good matchups out of this.
I'm like thinking about this now. Did I give you a World Series champion? I know I gave you a matchup. I don't remember if I gave you a
You did.
champion.
You did.
Okay. All right. I just wanted
You
to make
did.
sure.
Let me reread and make sure I didn't assume for you. I'm assuming you did.
I
you
think
did.
I did. Okay. There's going to be some
Alicia, the
discussion.
host.
There's going to be some discussion about this, so we'll see. We'll see how
There
this
is.
goes.
There's going to be a lot of discussion about a lot of this.
You pick who I think you're gonna pick.
Is it
Hold
going to be
on.
like the Guardians or
Hold
the
on.
Astros beat like the
Alright,
Mets
ready?
in the World Series?
Hold
I
on.
don't have the Mets in the World
Hold on.
Series, but I
He
do
does not.
have.
No, he doesn't have.
I do
I'll
have
just show it.
some other matchups here. I do not have the Tigers going to the World Series, unfortunately. But
Hey, you do have the Tigers being the Astros.
That-
I wasn't
you
sure
got
if
it.
that was the case the way you were talking.
I want that
earlier.
Mets pick explained.
so this is one of those situations where it was really hard for me to pick the Mets, but I ended up going with them anyway because the odds are stacked against them. They just played a game today. They're flying across the country. Not across the country, but they're flying pretty damn far from Atlanta. They're facing a very balanced team in the Brewers, but honestly, a lot of this pick came down to, recent history, and I'm not saying just because they're a 6 seed, but recent history, in the MLB playoffs. And for a lot of my bracket, it's not. Oh, it's very rarely in this playoff format has it been chalk throughout, like where the top seed wins. There's a lot of variation. We see a lot of teams get upsets. And yes, does this World Series matchup look a little bit strange? Yes, but I think the Padres are as good as they've really been in the last few years. I think I'm really happy with where that lineup's at. And I think in the AL, it's so wide open. But I do think the Guardians have the best overall roster, and which is crazy to say. I mean, you kind of look at the names that they've had and who stepped up this year, but I do think the Guardians have the best overall roster, and I think a little bit of an odd one, but yeah, this is what I'm going with. Going a little bit different.
I don't really have anything to say against your thing because I have said, at least behind the scenes, I don't know if I've really said it on the podcast. There's so many unknown factors and close races. I feel like with how all these teams match up, that I don't feel like there's really a like unbelievable. Basically the biggest no matchup in the World Series is probably Tigers and Braves.
Yeah.
Other than that, I feel like every matchup to a sense is possible. But all that being said, the one thing I will say about the Padres, I like the Padres too. But in my original bracket, because I was fiddling with stuff over the weekend, just anticipating what the matchups would be before the situation with the Braves doubleheader and before knowing of Chris Sale's back spasms, I originally had the Braves beating the Padres in the wild card series because I think the biggest problem for the Padres is they will face some good pitching, and then that's going to stop them almost immediately. They've been able to make the best of other teams' mistakes, and that's why I think they can pounce on both the Braves pitching and pitching lack of pitching or health or whatever you want to say right now, and the lack of health in the starting rotation with the Dodgers. However, a team like the Phillies, I think they would run into a wall with. But if the Braves were at full capacity pitching wise, regardless of what their offense is, I think that would have been enough to stop the Padres offense. It's good, but it, especially within the last few weeks, it has definitely shown at times that it can take a while to really take off, and it tries to get to a weak bullpen spot.
I think the Phillies are the team you look at in the NL. Like in my opinion, I really do think they are the overwhelming favorite, and I think that matchup is obviously tough for them, as you kind of alluded to. But like I said, I think the Padres have had a lot of potential for the last couple of years, and they've fallen short. And I do think this is the best I've felt about their team, in their this kind of time span. Especially like I said, how they played the last couple months here has been great. I also wanted to add for that Brewers Mets series, if obviously it wasn't possible, but if there was a way that the Brewers would have played the Braves, I definitely would have taken the Brewers. I just like in that kind of matchup where we've seen Milwaukee struggle in the postseason in the past, and how that 6th seed, especially a team like the Mets who are coming in pretty hot, seems to favor in that matchup. I do feel like that's a big reason why I took them. I really the one that was the hardest for me was I think that Orioles Yankees series. I originally had the Yankees and then I did switch it back. Um it is very close, but I do think that the Orioles would end up winning that series. And then, you know, I kind of did this just because I love my gritty Tigers. I have them winning, but I really do think like the Astros could easily be the World Series representative in the AL. I
We're in
really
my
could
first
say that.
bracket.
Yeah, and they were in my first idea of a bracket, but I had to give some love to the Tigers, and I do
The
think there is
matchups.
factors. I
This
think
whole postseason came down to these matchups, and you kind of already said it too.
yeah,
If like the Tigers are facing the Orioles, you had the Tigers over the Orioles. I think the Phillies are cheering for dear life that the Diamondbacks got eliminated. Because
yeah,
imagining a Diamondbacks Brewers matchup and the winner of that facing the Phillies, and there being a decent shot at being the Diamondbacks, the Phillies' biggest hurdle is just simply going to be, as any other team has been recently, is are they going to be fine with the bye? And I want to say yes because they have some personnel from like Trey Turner and Kevin Long who were part of that national squad in 2019 that won the World Series, and they had a bit of a bye before the World Series, as of course the Phillies did in 2022 between the championship and World Series. Um, but yeah, I mean, this whole playoff could have happened so many different ways based on how the things were wrapping up the last couple days. So things changed on the dime, and a lot of things have changed, at least in my own bracket, because of it.
and I like took a team that was on because I'm very big and I feel like the bye does have sometimes a disadvantage, but I did end up taking a team that has that first round bye to make the World Series. But like I said, the Guardians I just do think are the most complete team in the AL. The way they played recently does worry me a little bit. But overall I'm still pretty confident in that. And again, the Orioles are such a weird team, man, because they should be better than they are, and I think, as John has already said, they've gotten pieces back, which makes them scary. And I could easily see them getting to the World Series, but I could also, I don't think it'll happen, but I could also see them losing in the first round. Like the Orioles are very weird for me. Like I think they could be all over the place with them, but yeah, like I said, went a little bit different on my bracket, and I think that's how we'll end this one. There is going to be a lot of content from us as the postseason rolls on, as we go through the rounds. But enjoy the first postseason action of 2024 here in the MLB with the wild card round. Should be some good games. And then for Will and Bobby, we got what is it? Saturday the Phillies play? Is it going to be the first game?
Phillies play on Saturday.
Yeah, so fun times, and hopefully, John, for you, you don't have to sweat in that 3 game series. I will. I don't think you'll have to, but
I don't know, buddy.
I think
I
Just
don't
I
know.
hope.
think all
10
four
years ago,
wild
I
card
thought the
series.
same thing.
No, I'm going to say this now. All 4 wild card series are going to be sweeps.
Okay. Wow, that's a pretty good prediction, actually. Oh yeah, I also don't say I would say the Padres in 6 for the World Series for me.